Hello, I'm Ann Gritch, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this segment of the oral history of the Diocese of San Jose. And with me is Father Steve Kim, one of the shining lights among the clergy, and we're delighted that you're here, Steve.
Thank you, Ann. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background. You were born in Korea, but came here at a fairly young age?
Yeah, so my grandparents were already living here. So I was born in Korea, only child. When I was 6 years old, we came over here and just went through the local schools around here.
So where'd you go to school?
I went to Garden Gate Elementary School in Cupertino.
Not far from where we are.
Yeah, St. Joe's, right? And then Kennedy Junior High. And then I moved up to Palo Alto, so Palo Alto High School. Yeah,
Okay.
so local schools.
Local schools,
Yeah.
right. And then somewhere along the way, you felt a certain call for priesthood, or at least to give it a shot?
Yeah, so like when I was a kid, like people, I had my toys too, but I would invite my friends and we would like say mass.
Mass, oh yeah.
So I have my little bread and little juice and
Oh sure.
like, okay, so you take this and
We used to use Necco wafers.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah. But that went away kind of quickly.
Quickly, yeah. That got old fast.
Yeah. I called life and
Yeah, right.
girls.
Exactly.
Until about junior year of high school. That's when people start kind of asking, so where are you going to go to college?
Right.
What are you going to major in? What are you going to do with your life? I said, well, I don't know. I don't know really, But when I went on like one of those spiritual youth retreats, that's when it kind of hit me. Kind of like we're forced to kind of look at ourselves and our relationship with God, and I realized, man, I'm pretty selfish kid. Growing up as an only child, kind of spoiled, and just I was not happy with the person I was, right? And I said, well, how can I maybe do something positive or be a man for others, be selfless, right? And in the Asian culture, my mom said, you could be anything you want, but doctor, lawyer, engineer, that's kind of like one of the three,
Anything of those three.
Of those three, right? And I guess out of the three, I like being a doctor because you can help people, heal them, and you can, go to different areas. And but then that's what my mom wanted.
Sure.
And my goal in life is not to just do what my parents want me to do, right? What I wanted to do was be a professional golfer. That was my passion.
You were a good golfer in high school? On the golf team?
I was okay, yeah. So that's what I wanted to do. But then in the end, it's like, well, I don't know if that's the kind of life that God is really calling me towards. And when I thought about the priesthood, it's like, wow, now here's a challenge. And there's a theme throughout my life. I like challenges. I like to do things that are difficult. And I thought, well, this, it really requires a lot of sacrifice. And I wasn't 100% sold on it, but I thought, well, let me try this out. Okay. So at the tender age of 17, I had a conversation with Father Mark Catalana, who was the vocation director, who turned out to be one of the biggest role models in my life.
Yeah, lovely man. And taken from us too soon.
Yeah. So he really kind of showed me the way and of kind of modeling what a priest is, and learned through him. Also the Korean priest from my Korean parish is very supportive. And also Monsignor Francilia, he was doing all the English masses over there.
At the Korean
Mass. That's where I kind of got to know him. So those were kind of like the role models for me when I first started out.
Now you went to Santa Clara University.
Santa Clara University, yeah.
And as a seminarian, I'm trying to remember, because there was a Miguel Pro house, and I think you lived there with several others.
Yes, that's right. So we, for the major seminary, you have to have some kind of degree.
Right.
And right out of high school, I can't get in there. So Father Mark started this formation house for the college students, right next to St. Martin of Tours. very interesting. And I kind of made like a deal, not a deal, but I think it worked out because I wanted to live a college experience.
Sure.
Right? Even as a priest, I can't talk about fraternities or sororities or what college life is if I haven't experienced it. So my freshman year, I got to live in the dorms at Santa Clara.
Was that a good year?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Just to be a normal kid,
yeah.
right? But then transitioning from sophomore year is when they actually finished building the McGill Pro House. And I was able to live there as a small community, praying together, supporting each other, going to Mass together.
I think Father Dat Long was also one of your housemates.
Yeah,
right?
so Father Dat and I are the two survivors.
And both of you went to the Institute for Leadership and Ministry. Like
Right,
you graduated.
Which you were the the main person, yeah. And I think the ILM, it was a great opportunity for me to really understand, talking about the history of the diocese, right? Of what this diocese, what makes San Jose so special, right? This kind of emphasis on empowering the lay people and how lay people can become leaders of the diocese. But to have an institute for that.
Yeah, so that they're well trained.
Exactly. So that I think that was very, is a great learning experience. And I think, one of the greatest takeaways for me was just that networking. Yeah. Right? So to know that I know somebody from pretty much every parish.
Isn't that fun?
I know at least one or two people from every parish.
Yeah.
Just by the fact that we went to LM together.
Yeah.
So that makes things a lot easier. Right. Or when I'm a guest priest giving a talk or a mass. So I said, oh, do you happen to know like so-and-so? And they say, oh, yeah. Well, we went to ILM together. Yeah. Makes everything so much smoother and easier. Right? So I think that's one of the greatest benefits, I think, of the ILM for me.
It's wonderful to hear. Yeah. That is wonderful to hear. Yeah. Now, so from after you graduated from Santa Clara, what was your degree in?
Philosophy and religious studies.
Okay, religious studies. So you have Father Paul Crowley and all these fine Jesuits.
I took as many Jesuits as I could.
Yeah.
They didn't turn me into a Jesuit, but
they're fine educators. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm forever grateful. And in fact, I still have a Jesuit priest as my spiritual director, Father Mark Revisa.
Oh, he's a lovely man.
He's
top notch.
I really look up to him.
That university is just a real gift in our diocese, and they keep telling us we are a gift to them also. It's a wonderful relationship. Yeah. So after graduation, then you went into St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's, Menlo Park, yeah.
What were the challenges then?
I don't know if there were challenges, but it was good opportunity for me to meet like other seminarians from different dioceses, and to know that there's more people. Because like when I first entered after high school, 2003, that was a very difficult time in the history of our church. That's when all the Boston scandal thing came out, and a lot of my closest friends were telling me, what are you doing? You got to be really stupid.
Yeah, I know.
You're such a waste. You're just wasting your life. Why would you want to associate yourself with child molesters, basically? And I said, well, I hope I'm not, number one, but also I hope to be part of a change. Sure. Right, and to see a group of other men, who are actually supportive and so forming that bond with my classmates was a good experience for me at St. Patrick's.
If I remember, you had a very good friend from Orange. Was it Dewey Lay?
Yeah, Dewey and Martin, So we still keep in touch. And,
good.
And actually the idea, we made a promise, like, every year we would have like a reunion.
Does that happen?
It has happened every year until this year.
All right, that's pretty good.
But we kind of make a commitment and say we're going to try to stick together and support each other.
Yeah. Now you did your pastoral year at St. Maria Goretti, is that right?
Goretti, right.
What was that like?
Well, like I was saying, I like challenges, so I was thinking, well, where is the hardest place I can go? Right? And they've had, I think, deacons serving at Maria Goretti or doing like field education at St. Maria Goretti, but I don't think they've never had a full pastoral year at St. Maria Goretti. And
You're right. I think you were the first.
and I said, and the last, you know, and I said,
No, Thierry Garris did his pastoral year.
oh, did he?
Yeah, at Goretti. But I think it was after you, but I'm not positive.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. But I said, what? I want to try this, you know, because I've heard so many, like, not horror stories, but oh, it's so hard.
So much work.
So much work. It's multicultural, and oh man, it's like a zoo over there. That's where I want to go. That's where I want to go, you know. So I kind of begged a little bit and talked with Father Steve Brown. So he kind of took me in. And, it was a great experience.
It was a good year.
Great experience because I really understood, you know, another kind of really important, I think, factor or what our diocese is about, what makes us so unique, is that sense of multicultural diversity, right? And to see a parish where we're trying to juggle between the English-speaking community, Spanish-speaking, Vietnamese, Filipino culture, right? Just kind of
all under one roof.
All under one roof. You know, it can get messy.
Yeah.
But to be in the midst of all that helped me really appreciate what, you know, San Jose is about, right? And
Father Gerardo Menchaca said the same thing. He said it's wonderful chaos.
Wonderful chaos sounds very
descriptive.
That's just about right, you know. But also, I made a decision while I was in my pastoral year that you know, multicultural ministry is something very important for me personally and for the diocese. So I said I'm going to learn Spanish. I'm going to learn Vietnamese to make myself accessible.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a great gift. How is your Vietnamese?
It's okay.
Is it good?
It's okay.
All right.
It's okay.
I just want to get a chance to use it.
Not currently.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So you were ordained in 2011?
2011.
2011.
Yes, you were the MC.
I was.
Both my deacon and priesthood.
That's right. That's right. In fact, the deacon ordination was at Maria Goretti.
Maria Goretti, yeah.
That's right. That was a wonderful time. That's right. And your first assignment then was at St. John Vianney.
St. John Vianney.
With Father Tony Mancuso.
Tony Mancuso, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, St. John Vianney. First, you know, assignment. You know, people say your first assignment leaves like the greatest impression and kind of shapes or forms who you are as a priest. I believe that. And I think, you know, for me, I guess one of the challenges of being assigned to St. John Vianney was...
At that time was a challenge, yeah.
Yeah. And just, I mean, for me, I guess was, I mean, it's hard enough being a priest, like a brand new priest, and you got to...
And a young priest.
And a young priest, and I mean, you don't even know what you're doing. I mean, right? And you're just trying to figure out like how to celebrate the Mass correctly or say the right words, right? But imagine that in a completely different language, all in Spanish, right? And I was the Hispanic priest,
right?
following Francisco Rios. So, tall order.
But you did have a deacon.
Deacon Raul, he's very helpful. Very helpful, yeah. And obviously Father Tony, I mean, he's one of the greatest gifts in my life, you know, and I think he told you the story too, but I'll say it again, right, where it was our first weekend at the Mass, because he was brand new as a pastor, and I was brand new as a parochial vicar. We came in together, and we said, well, why don't we just celebrate all the Masses together? And he said, oh, Steve, I was assigned here for my, my first assignments in 1985. I had hair, all these things, and I said, oh, that's great. So I was born in 1985. And then he was about to slap me,
Sure, of course he was. If we weren't on tape, I might do the same.
So, but it went well after that, and we really, supported each other.
Sure.
And, I really learned a lot from Tony. One of the biggest things I learned from him was the importance of relationships, because he is all about relationships.
It is, and parish is really about relationships.
Yeah. So it's one of the greatest lessons I learned, to form good relationships with the people.
Tell us about the 50-mile hike to San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
How that came about.
Yeah, so Tony just kind of tells me one day, oh, I'm thinking about, doing a hike. I said, well, good for you. And then he said, oh, this is fundraising. We got to build a gym. It's been so long, the community center. I said, okay, But I said, yeah, let's do this together. So we walked from St. John Vianney to all the way to Mission Dolores, just taking that El Camino Real just one way, just straight up.
Well, I will never forget, I was there at the mass to send you off, and I think the bishop was there.
Yeah.
And you two celebrated, and then you went into the sacristy and you came out in your hiking clothes. And I'll never forget, you looked at the assembly and said, how do we look? And the place just went, yay! It was very fun.
Yeah, and Father Bob Leger joined us. Not just moral support. He walked.
He walked. All right.
And it was very impressive. Very impressed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He's a man of hidden talents.
Yeah.
So tell me too. You grew up here, but your heritage is Korean. Has that kind of informed your ministry at all?
Yeah, I think yes and no. I think there's like a tendency. I think when you as immigrants, like you want your children to learn the American culture, right? So that's like a big thing, right? So we're okay. Yeah, you're Korean, but learn the American culture. Be American. If I had kids, right, the next generation, I would teach my kids the Korean culture.
Right.
Right.
I think that's how it works.
That's kind of how it is,
Yeah.
right? But for us, it was always speaking Korean at the house, so I was able to keep the language,
which is a gift. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of Korean cultural things that's who I am. Korean American, right? That's trying to figure out what that is. It's like having one foot in the American culture, having one foot in the Korean culture, just kind of balance that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Can you talk a little bit about the Korean community here in the diocese?
Yeah, our Korean community, it's small but mighty.
Absolutely.
Something like this.
Vibrant.
Vibrant. We started, in the Midi, Queen of Apostles, kind of like, doing like a Sunday Mass over there. And then we were so proud to have our own place in Sunnyvale. Right,
Yeah.
just like an office building, but we had our own place.
Right, with the parking lot.
Parking lot, and now we have our bigger church.
Yes.
It's right here, off of McLaughlin, and
you're a parish now.
Yeah, parish, like a status, parish
Like
status.
the big kids.
Yeah, something like this, right? So it's amazing how such a small community can do so much and be so effective. And I think they're, Koreans, we are very dedicated, very.
The right of election, it's amazing to me how many catechumens come.
Yeah,
Korean
and in the sense of like lay involvement, right? So even the history of our Korean church, it started by lay people.
I know, that's fascinating to me.
Right?
Yeah.
And currently at the Korean church, I mean, there's not many paid positions. People, they
roll up their
they
sleeves
do it
and just
out
do it.
of their love of God and of the community. There's a lot of volunteerism.
Well, they're a great gift to the diocese, that Korean community. They truly are. We were fortunate to interview Lucia and Richard Hong.
Oh, yeah, they're really good.
And they are very good people and great leaders in that community. So you're fluent in Spanish and Korean and English and Vietnamese. Wow.
Yeah, Vietnamese is my least, but I'm okay. I can get by. Yeah.
All right. Because you teach at St. Francis High School, right? But you're also parochial vicar at St. Lucie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you use your Spanish, I'm sure, at St. Lucie.
Yeah, I'm like actually every single year of my priesthood, I've been the Hispanic priest. Yeah.
Right.
And it's an interesting kind of, transition, where they're like, what is this? Who is this?
Yeah, right. He doesn't look like
Doesn't look like, yeah. And then I speak Spanish.
Right, yeah.
And then they're like, oh, interesting. Like, is he from Peru or something like this? It's like, no, I'm from here. So.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So you're currently at St. Francis High School. Now, how did that come about?
So I attribute all that to Father Tony. Because like I told you, I started the journey to be a priest 17, and I've been going to school all my life, like kindergarten to high school, college, seminary, grad school, and I thought, okay, I need a break. I love school, don't get me wrong, right? But okay, as a
Too
priest,
much of a good thing.
yeah, as a priest, I want to just focus on my ministry with the people. And then Father Tony says, well, you're young, can you celebrate a mass at the high school? I said, okay,
sure,
why not?
Yeah.
But celebrating a mass, that experience of, of almost 2,000 people, it's like a rock concert, right? And I said, wow, this is nice. And he said, well, can you help out at a retreat?
I see where this is
said,
going.
oh, interesting, right?
Yeah.
And they said, well, and then the principal, Patty Tennant, she says, can you teach a class? I said, oh, I don't know. So that kind of led to that's a snowball effect of that. And then with Bishop Daly, he asked me to kind of take over the new high school down south, that project. And then that led me to studying, getting a master's degree in education at Santa Clara.
All right.
And now I'm at USC doing my doctoral studies in education.
Right.
So I don't know how much more I could be involved in education, actually.
I think you're kind of into education, right?
But it all started out with just a little invitation.
Little invitation.
I would have never thought that this would, and also doing Hispanic ministry.
Yeah. How do you balance all that?
Well, I have a spiritual director, like I said, Father Mark Revisa. He's really helpful to see where is the Spirit of God leading me. What is it that gives me life, and what are my priorities, right? So, try to do the best that I can. Right. I realized I had that Superman complex, and then I realized,
I'm good, but I'm not Superman.
Yeah. And there's only one Savior.
Yeah.
And I'm not it.
You're
I'm not it.
You're not he.
I'm not it. I learned that the hard way, I think. But just do the best that I can. And
what are some of the challenges of high school ministry, education?
Oh, man. Well, the high school ministry, education, I think perhaps one of the biggest challenges is just how do we keep that Catholic identity? Right? It's a very sensitive topic.
I can imagine. Because the whole student body is not Catholic, is that right?
Right. So it depends on the school, but St. Francis, we're about 65, 67% Catholic.
Oh, my.
Which is good, actually.
Is that? Wow.
Yeah. But it's just, and I think even beyond just at the school level, but as a Catholic church, how do we find that balance of being welcoming, right? Yet at the same time, holding true to our Catholic identity, right? And evangelizing, right? So that's a fine balance that we walk.
What are some of the joys?
Oh, well, there's many joys. I think just being with the students and to see that transformation. I think all Catholic schools will say we're about teaching the mind, body, and spirit, teaching the whole person. To see the students freshman year of just they don't even know how to tie their shoes, into being senior ambassadors of knowing what the school is, knowing the Catholic faith, and to being model citizens, right? That's the joy that I see, the fruits.
Now, when are you going to get your doctorate?
Idea is 3 years.
All right.
3 years, yeah.
What do you see yourself doing, and what kind of hopes do you have for our diocese for the future?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges. There are a lot of hopes as well. I was thinking, in the area of Catholic education, as you know, throughout the country, and even in our own diocese, we have schools closing down.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a big problem. How do we deal with that schools closing down? And some people take the finance model. Some people take a governance model, with our Catherine Drexel and all this.
Right.
I like to take a different approach. And I'm not so sure on what I want to study, but this is kind of the problem space that I'm dealing with, is the issue of Latino enrollment.
Can
right?
you say a little more about
So right now, we have 55 million Latinos living in the United States. By the year 2060, it's going to be 130 million Latinos.
Oh my goodness.
Right, and it doesn't matter how tall you build a wall,
Yeah, exactly.
they're going to people can come,
Precisely.
no matter how you look at it, right? And over 40% of the Latinos are Catholics, and the other 60 are just cultural Catholics,
Catholics,
right? So yet we only have less than 3% of the Latino population going to a Catholic school,
Oh my.
right? So how can we be a church or Catholic schools, be welcoming and allow a space for them, and kind of like maybe like go back to the roots of why Catholic schools were founded. Catholic schools were founded to serve the immigrant population,
Right.
whether Italians or Irish or Germans or Polish, right? But I think we've kind of gone away from that mission a little bit.
I think so.
It's kind of like serving like a different kind of population, right? And I say I think we got to kind of hone it back, right? And
Because it is a question of our immigrants. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
And also, from a Silicon Valley perspective, there's so much talent, so many smart people here, right? So much money around here, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of the decisions and the inventions, the creativity that happens here, it affects the entire world.
It's true.
So we're talking about artificial intelligence.
I know.
We're talking about self-driving
Driving
cars. But I don't think there's a lot of people talking about the consequences of these things or how God plays a role in these kind of things. A lot of it is just self-driven or profit-driven,
Sure.
which is fine. You create up with inventions, but how does that play a role? How does God play a role in these things? Or taking the Catholic social teachings.
Yeah.
So
Or how do we use this to build the kingdom?
build the kingdom or add social value to the world, especially to those who are marginalized,
Yeah.
right? So these are big issues, I think, that we as a diocese need to kind of tap into.
I think you're right.
You know,
Because we have our tradition. We can make a real contribution to the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of exciting to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else should we be talking about?
I don't know. I mean, I think I think a lot of the elderly priests, they talk about the spirit of San Juan or when the diocese, broke off, from San Francisco, why a lot of the priests chose San Jose, because there was that spirit of new.
Yeah.
I mean, you would know better, right? I mean, I don't know.
And having talked with some of the
Right.
older fathers,
The spirit of Vatican II, something new, something different, something like this, and I don't know. I mean, the diocese started in 1981.
Yeah, we're only a little bit older than you
I
are.
mean, I wasn't even born, right? So I guess maybe I'm not in a position to say these things, but I also think that that kind of spirit has kind of died down a little bit, right? Not in a negative way, but we've and then
No, I think you're right.
So-
and others have said the same.
right. So we need a sense of renewal, right? And I think a lot of these challenges, right, whether it's the technology, artificial intelligence, or kind of the sense of oversensitivity of everything, like all these hot button sensitive issues, right? How we manage these things, right? And just kind of, we need a new spirit. I'm not saying Vatican III, okay? But
No. I know. Yeah. Get the fullness of Vatican II.
Yeah,
we haven't gotten there
We
yet.
haven't gotten there yet, right? So, as a young priest, I guess I'm looking forward to that.
You feeling hopeful?
I'm trying to be hopeful. So
Wonderful. Good. I think that's a good note to end, and I do thank you very much, Father
thank you.
Steve, for
Thank you,
being
Anne.
here. This
Thank
was
you.
good conversation.
All right, thank you, Father Bob. Yeah.